We are taught the idea that we should give, share and prioritize generosity over our personal interests. But someone warns us about the dangers of being too kind and compassionate. We live in a world where we do not always receive what we give, as it is full of generous people who drain their financial and energetic resources through indiscriminate donations. If this is your first time on my channel, I ask that you help me by subscribing and liking the video so that I can continue to create more content like this in the future. Can excessive generosity even put our own lives at risk? Be surprised by the unexpected negative effects that kindness can bring you. Today I'm going to reveal the 5 things that happen to you because you're too nice and offer 4 Stoic strategies to stop people taking advantage of you. Without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. You will have unrealistic expectations from people. The Stoics emphasize the need to accept circumstances as they are and not base our happiness on the actions of others. By giving without expecting much in return, you avoid disappointment and practice emotional detachment, which leads to greater peace of mind. Imagine this scenario: you strive to be generous and kind, giving your best to others without expecting anything in return. This attitude is noble, but we often find ourselves consciously or unconsciously expecting others to respond with the same level of generosity. We hope people recognize our efforts and reciprocate in kind. But what happens when these expectations are not met? The root of this problem lies in our expectations. By assuming that others will respond in the same way as us, we put ourselves in a vulnerable position. While it's natural to want others to appreciate and value our actions, Stoicism reminds us that we can't control the actions of others, we can only control our own actions and reactions. It is difficult to be completely selfless in our generosity, consciously or unconsciously. When we give our all, we expect others to do the same. However, you have become so accustomed to doing everything for them that they will take for granted that you can handle everything, both in their life and in yours, especially in yours, because they will take on your responsibilities. The truth is that your expectations of reciprocity will not be met, and what will happen to you is that you will be in a bad mood, tired, frustrated and disappointed. Stoicism teaches us that our true wealth lies in our ability to give without expecting anything in return, find joy in the act of giving itself, and maintain our peace of mind regardless of the responses of others. Number 2, people are just going to wait for you to give them something. The practice of moderation, so cherished by the Stoics, becomes an anchor in a sea of endless demands. Rather than giving in to the limitless requests of others, Stoicism urges us to balance our generosity. By donating in a balanced way, we maintain control over our actions and avoid falling into patterns that undermine our emotional well-being. They often adapt to situations and environments that are comfortable for them. It was in this human tendency that the concept of comfort zone was born. If we constantly take on the responsibilities of others, we are allowing them to remain in their comfort zones. They don't feel the need to grow or face challenges because they know we will always be there to have their back. The problem is not just for others, but also for us. By taking on other people's responsibilities, we neglect our own needs and priorities. We find ourselves stuck in a cycle of giving without receiving, which drains our energy and harms our emotional well-being. Practicing moderation and giving in a balanced way allows you to maintain control over your own actions and avoid falling into habits that erode your emotional well-being. If you get into the habit of giving all the time, the recipients of your generosity will expect you to give them something all the time. It's important to give, but it's also crucial to maintain balance. By setting clear boundaries and practicing generosity in a balanced way, we not only preserve our own peace and well-being, but also encourage others to take on their own responsibilities and grow as individuals. In this delicate balance, we find a true generosity that nourishes both others and ourselves. Number 3, your priorities will be trampled on. The Stoics emphasize the importance of living according to reason and virtue, setting limits, and prioritizing our own essential responsibilities in order to maintain balance and avoid sacrificing our authenticity and well-being for others. If you are giving everything for other people's priorities, you may find yourself running away from something inside you that causes you pain and fear. The emotions that arise in these moments of solitude can be overwhelming. The feeling of emptiness, the deafening silence, and the desire for connection can lead to deep emotional discomfort. It is in these moments that we often seek refuge in the needs of others. We immerse ourselves in serving others as a way of filling the emptiness we feel within ourselves. The cost of this relentless surrender is high. You lose yourself in the process, your inner voice is drowned out by external demands, and sooner or later, when you are confronted with the stillness of your own being, the pain and fear you have been trying to avoid emerge with renewed force. It is essential to recognize that meeting our own needs and priorities is not selfish. It is a form of self-care and preserving our authenticity. The Stoics teach us that setting boundaries and living according to our own virtues is not only an act of self-love, but also a path to an authentic and meaningful life. The next time you are tempted to run away from yourself in constant service to others, stop for a moment, recognize those uncomfortable emotions that arise in solitude, and embrace them with compassion. Allow yourself to be authentic in your wants and needs, set healthy limits, and learn to say no when necessary. You will find that by honoring your own authenticity, you will not only enrich yourself internally, but you will also be able to provide balanced and genuine generosity to others from a place of wholeness and authenticity. Number 4, you will be seen as weak and treated as such. Stoicism encourages us to cultivate inner strength and self-control by setting limits and practicing self-discipline. If you help too much over time, you may be seen as an authority figure in the area in which you collaborate with others, but you may give the exact opposite impression. In this context, the lack of limits makes you vulnerable. People notice this weakness and, instead of respecting you, they may start to take advantage of you. They see you as someone willing to take on other people's responsibilities without question, and this can lead to a situation where you find yourself constantly overwhelmed, exhausted, and frustrated. When you start saying no firmly but respectfully, something incredible happens. People start to perceive you differently. You are no longer the one who is willing to carry everything without question. You are now someone who values yourself enough to set boundaries, someone who deserves to be treated with dignity and consideration. This change in perception is fundamental. By saying this little word, you transform the way others see you. You are no longer easy prey to the incessant demands of others. You are a strong individual, capable of defending your limits and, therefore, deserving of respect. Ultimately, respect doesn't just come from what you do for others, but also from how you treat yourself. By setting boundaries and practicing self-discipline, you are sending a clear message to the world. You deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. So the next time you find yourself in a situation where your limits are being tested, remember the strength that lies in that one little word, no. By saying it, you are defending yourself and asserting your own worth. Number 5. You will arouse suspicion. Stoicism encourages us to act virtuously regardless of how others may perceive us. By focusing on living in harmony with our principles and values, we build a genuine reputation that is resistant to unfounded suspicion. While we wish things were different, the truth is that genuinely kind people are not plentiful in this world. Therefore, if you are one of them, you will arouse suspicion rather than admiration and gratitude. It won't take long for you to show your kindness before people start to wonder what's going on with you and what hidden intentions you have that you don't reveal to anyone. This means you found a group of people who are not necessarily suspicious, but more likely to be realistic. Most overzealous people tend to hide intentions so macabre that it is best to stay away from them and forego the help they want to provide. Let's look at strategies to prevent people from using it. Strategy number 1. Listen to your feelings. They are speaking to you based on the Stoic idea of self-awareness. Pay attention to your emotions and feelings. The Stoics believed in the importance of self-reflection in understanding your reactions and needs. By listening to your feelings, you can identify whether you are overreacting and emotionally draining, allowing you to adjust your focus and find a healthy balance. How do you feel when you help others by thinking about yourself and prioritizing them? It's such a selfless act that doing it must make you feel like you're walking on clouds. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, lacking energy, angry, or used, it's time to pay attention to your feelings. If something you have no obligation to causes you so much discomfort, you don't need to deceive yourself to figure out how the help you are providing affects your well-being. Strategy number 2, lose your fear of the word no. Following Stoic teachings, recognize that your time and energy are valuable and should be allocated in a conscious and balanced way. Saying no in situations where you feel overwhelmed or when the request is unfair is a way to exercise self-control. Although the word is not associated with negative behavior and pessimism, it is normal for us to have difficulty saying no. However, negativity is what our life will become if we do not develop the ability to say this word. When someone demands more from us than we can give, practice in front of the mirror and convince yourself that it is the only way to regain your freedom and avoid unnecessary and potential risks. Strategy number 3, there is a time and a space for you, respect them. Following the Stoic principles of self-discipline and self-respect, it is essential to set aside time and space to care for yourself. Do what you like, practice yoga, draw, listen to music while drinking a cup of tea, whatever motivates you. Finish your duties as quickly as possible so you can practice. This is something you should take very seriously as scheduling this time daily or weekly. Therefore, if someone asks you for help during this time, they should be very respectful and cooperative with you, not the person. So, without regrets, say no and enjoy that time and space just for you. If you don't want to be so abrupt, you can offer to help at another time, but always make it clear that your availability will be limited because you have a life to take care of. Strategy number 4, identify energy vampires and stay away from them. Following Stoic principles of self-discipline and discernment, it's important to recognize which relationships benefit you and which ones can drain you emotionally. By distancing yourself from people who constantly drain your energy and don't contribute positively, you are caring for your own well-being and applying Stoic self-control to your relationships. If you try to help an energy vampire, know that it won't work. These people oppress you with their complaints, their pain, and their catastrophic view of life. Forget about helping them. They don't want to solve their problems because that would mean stopping complaining, and that's something they wouldn't tolerate. In conclusion, according to Stoic wisdom, in life, the best measure of things is always the midpoint, and generosity is no exception. If we give too little, we will appear selfish and greedy, while if we give too much, we will end up completely out of energy, time, and probably money too. So lean towards shades of gray, which remain the preferred shades when it comes to finding a balance between prioritizing others and ourselves. And when in doubt, always remember the magic word, no. especially if they're offering you a ride home through your car window. If you liked our video, please like the video, subscribe and comment so YouTube knows that these types of videos help people like you and we can continue to create more similar videos in the future.